Hi everyone, I hope you are all well. It's been a couple of weeks since I last did a video that, as you know, the book I've been reading is quite a bulky book, so I said it may be 2 weeks, but yeah, here we are. It's Saturday morning, it is horrible and wet and windy outside because Storm Dennis is making its way across the UK, so I decided to stay in. I've got my duvet down here on the sofa, and I'm having a chill day reading and such. But before I kick off my reading, I want to talk about the book I've been reading for the past couple of weeks, which is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. Now, as you will know, if you've been watching my channel and such for a while, that I really like Cassandra Clare's writing. In 2016, the first year that I did this channel, I reread the 6 Mortal Instrument books and first time read the 3 prequels, called the Infernal Devices series. And since then, I think it was last year, I read the 2 solo books that she wrote for the Bane Chronicles and Tales from Shadowhunter Academy. And since then, so I had 2016 I got through 9 of her books, and then 2019 I got through 2 standalone books, and now I've come to Lady Midnight. So this is the first book in a trilogy which is set 5 years after the Mortal Instruments, and follows a character called Emma Carstairs, who was introduced in the very last Mortal Instruments book. And she is Shadowhunter. We learnt about her and such in that last book. She has a peribatai called Julian. Now, a peribatai, if you don't know, it basically is somebody who you are bound to for life, as it were, via this connection. You feel what the other person is feeling. You're kind of warriors united, as it were. But there's this very strict rule that you cannot fall in love with your peribatai, because in the past, people who that situation has happened, they've gone insane, and nobody knows the specific reason why this rule is set in stone, but it is. And now, set 5 years after the final Mortal Instrument book, Emma and Julian are having feelings for each other. Emma at this stage, she's now 17 years old. She was 12 at the end of Mortal Instruments series. Her parents had been murdered, and basically Julian's family became her family. Julian has many siblings, and they're kind of this really great unit, as it were. So, as I said, we shift 5 years later. We're now following Emma. She's developing feelings for Julian, and they kind of discover that there is the possibility that due to a series of murders that are going on, there could be a connection to the murders of Emma's parents, and it's all about them going off and finding out who the murderer is, and lots of kind of crime scenes and all that lot, and various things that go on. She has a best friend also, who got introduced in this book, called Christina, who I loved. She is one of these friends who everyone would want to have, that she is loyal, so unbelievably loyal to Emma. She has got her back. She believes everything that Emma tells her, and I don't mean that thing of she's easily manipulated. Not like that whatsoever. What I mean is that she trusts her friends. She trusts Emma so much, and she knows that Emma would never lie to her, and such. So she's always there for Emma. And I love their relationship. I love the way they played off each other, and such. She's absolutely wonderful. Now, when it comes to this book, because I hadn't read anything to do with these particular characters since 2016, when I reread the Mortal Instruments series, I did have a few moments where I had to kind of stop and remind myself who is related to who exactly, because you have this thing, what Cassandra Clare does, and I know it's great for reading, but she has so many characters throughout pretty much all of her books who have been raised to believe that they're different people, who are keeping their identity secret, using different names and all this lot, and trying to remember the connections. And also there's this thing that the Herondale line, which Jace from the Mortal Instruments comes from, there's actually a split in their family line. So it's like, okay, this character's from over this side and this character's over that side, so because of the generation thing, they're what, cousins? I had to keep stopping and try to remember or look up or ask my sister questions about it, because even though I read, Cassandra Clare's books first, as it were, out the two of us, my sister's basically done a block read where she has read all of Cassandra Clare's books from beginning to end, back to back, and she's read all the way up to date, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4 books that I have yet to read and to be up to date. Cassandra Clare's new book, I think, comes out next week, and my sister has just completed that final book up to date, ready for publication in the next couple of weeks. I mean, so she is way ahead of me, and she had the benefit because she read the books back to back. She could answer questions for me like that. So I was like, yeah, just ask Laura, just to clarify something, ask Laura. So it was actually really good to have, that kind of backup. Love you, sis. So apart from that kind of stiltiness where I had to kind of stop and start every now and then just to clarify a few things with Family Tree, I was able to read it fully smoothly. I did one thing that does kind of irk me about, I kind of already mentioned it, about people with the fake identities or, whatever, or us being misled to different things. Cassandra Clare does it all the time, and it was kind of like, I just want to have a break from that, just a teeny bit. But my sister has reassured me that for the next books and such, that there might be one person that we're going to have that appear in the next books of this trilogy, but that's it. So I'm happy about that. There was so much going on in this book, though. It was quite crazy. I'm not saying that as a negative thing, but it was kind of like, right, just to give you the perspective, whenever I read, I mark pages by, little corner there for me to do readings for my reviews. And I do several just so that, and then I kind of review them before I start filming, and then read the one that I've picked. But the thing was that every single one of these ones I had, actually, apart from this one that I'm going to read to you, actually were really massive spoilers for what was coming ahead, but I didn't know that at the time of reading. So I was like, oh no, I can't possibly read that, can't read that. And even little things became a big deal, like pizza. How is pizza gonna be a big deal? But it became a big deal. And I'm like, it kind of felt like every single little thing was gonna be this like boom, big revelation. Or at least that's what it came to be. So I just kind of felt like, can we just calm down with every single little thing being a big deal? Like, pull it back a little. Not every little thing has to turn out to be a big revelation. Well, so I say, yeah, I really liked the characters. I thought it was well structured. It feels much darker, this one. And what is so interesting is that this is based on and goes around. I'm trying to pick my words very carefully without giving anything away. Slap bang in the middle, in the core of this book, is a poem called Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. I didn't know the poem before I started this book, but I remember, because my sister, she sent me a message saying how this poem is important to this book. And I read the poem and I was like, oh, right, okay, it's very interesting, very dark, but very beautiful poem. And I liked it, didn't think much of it, and then didn't realise that what Laura meant was that it is the epicenter of this book and of this trilogy. But comparing the way in which she's described things, I mentioned in the previous singular book read, Tales from Shadowhunter Academy, that it felt so much more mature. Like she had taken a step and gone, right, I'm not playing now, guys. I've given you the same kind of formulas. I've given you the same kind of teen, dark yet kind of not necessarily life-threatening feel for all of these books. Here you go. You're stepping into adult world now. And it felt like she had stepped back a tiny bit in this book, in that there was still kind of formulas and such there, but the action, the depth of the story, the Annabelle Lee link, it went darker. And I really loved that. And big love for the epilogue. It's only one page. I'm not going to read it, obviously, because it's a major spoiler, but it meant that we, the audience, have witnessed something that the characters haven't witnessed yet. And the use of words which are minimal yet so atmospheric, so descriptive, so harsh. It was really, really great to see that coming from Cassandra's writing. So it felt darker, it felt more intense, and we got kind of, even though we have had a lot of characters having deep moments, there was one deep moment which I absolutely loved, which is what I'm going to do my reading from, because it's the only one that doesn't have a major spoiler in it. And yeah, I just want to give you an idea of things, how Cassandra has played with looking at people's emotions and such during various things that have been happening. So this is Emma. She is alone. She's having her feelings for Julian, and she's really confused, and all she wants to do is talk to her mum and dad who have passed away. So she decides that she's going to have that conversation, just her in her room, and it's a really beautiful moment. And here we go. Mum, Emma whispered. Dad, I need your help. She'd taken off her dress and boots and stashed them in the corner with her weapons. The weather had worsened. Gusts tore around the institute, rattling the copper gutters, streaking the panes of glass with feathery patterns of silver. In the distance, lightning flashed over the water, illuminating it like a sheet of glass. In her pyjamas, Emma sat cross-legged, facing her open closet. So I forgot to mention her closet. She's stuck all of this information about her parents' murders, kind of like those boards that you see in at police stations in like crime dramas and, all that kind of stuff. And they have obviously in real police stations as well. She's done that basically inside of her closet. To a stranger, the closet might look like a jumble of photos and string and scribbled notes, but to her it was a love letter to her parents whose photograph was at the centre of the compilation. A photo of them smiling at each other, her dad caught in the middle of laughing, his blonde hair shining in the sun. I feel lost, she said. I started this because I thought there was some connection between these murders and what happened to you, but if there is, I think I'm losing it. Nothing connects to the attack on the Institute. I feel like I'm wandering through fog and I can't see anything clearly. It felt like there was something stuck in her throat, something hard and painful. Part of her wanted nothing more than to run out into the rain, feel it spill down over her, walk or run down to the beach where the sea and the sky would be melting into one, and let her screams be drowned out by thunder. There's more, she whispered. I think I'm messing up. As a Shadowhunter, ever since the night Jules got hurt when I healed him, ever since then, when I look at him, I feel things that I shouldn't. I think about him the way you aren't supposed to think about your parabatai. I'm sure he doesn't feel the same way, but just for a few minutes tonight when we were dancing, I was happy. She closed her eyes. Love's supposed to make you happy, isn't it? It's not supposed to hurt you. I really liked that. I liked the conflicting feelings and such. And just as she did so well with Mortal Instruments series, with the complex relationships of Jace and Clary and Alec and Magnus and all that lot, there is just the same kind of levels of complexity with Emma and Julian and other characters as well. But it feels weightier, or at least to me it does, with this book. It feels more intense, it feels darker, it feels more real. And I think it is that thing, as I said, that how in Tales of Shadowhunter Academy, she took this step into more of an adult environment. And she has pulled back a little bit from that for this book because of her formulas and such. But at the same time, she's creeping in the darkness, and especially with the epilogue, when you think things are okay or stable, it's only just begun. And I'm really excited to carry on with the rest of the trilogy. I'm really excited to see how certain characters react to certain elements. I am really excited to see which bonds are going to remain, which bonds are going to possibly break, because we had a break of a bond between two characters. I'm not going to say who they are because I don't want to spoil, within this book, which was really so interesting to read, and the complexity of it, and when politics gets brought in. And the thing also I forgot to mention with this book, since the end of the Mortal Instruments, new laws have been set in place. So in a way, this is a new environment, because there are new laws of how different areas, different types of people, like vampires, werewolves, fairies, shadow hunters, and everything, how they can interact with each other, when they can interact with each other. There's a whole new game at play here, so it does feel quite disconnected from Mortal Instruments, as in you're in a new world, you're with new characters, here we go, but at the same time you are very much connected to the past, and we get to see Alec, Magnus, Clary, and Jace, and which was absolutely wonderful. And we got some news as well, some very exciting news, which for a couple of other characters who I'm not going to mention because I don't want to spoil, which I was really excited about. So I'm hoping that we're going to see them in the next couple of books. So yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. You can tell it's a world setting, as it were, book, but at the same time it's not, which I really love. I really respected the way Cassandra wrote it, but I'm ready. I feel like this is the point where takeoff is going to happen, and I'm so ready for the takeoff, but I haven't got the next two books, so I can't read them because of my book challenge. But my sister did indicate that she knows what she's going to get me now for my birthday. So yeah, so would I read it again? Yes. Would I recommend it to people? Yes, but you need to have read all of Cassandra's previous books before you read this, because obviously the introduction, because Emma and Julian said were introduced at the end of the Mortal Instruments series, but you need to understand the different areas of the way in which Shadowhunters work, the different laws and everything, which you can only get from going right back to the very beginning and reading through. So you need to have read her other books. Would I read it again? Definitely yes. And I'm very intrigued to continue with this, and the fact that the cover is so dark and sinister, and look at that, isn't that beautiful? But the imagery of that, it's very dark. I think it sets a tone. The cover really sets a tone, and I really love it. So there we go. So there are my thoughts on Lady Midnight. Now, of course, there's the film. There's been no adaptation of this book in this part of the series, but there is the film of the first the first Mortal Instrument book, and then there's the Shadowhunters TV series. The first 2 series are currently available on Blu-ray. The 3rd series was originally scheduled to be released on Blu-ray this week here in the UK, and now it's been pushed back to May, which I'm so frustrated about. So I've only got the first 2 series. I'll hold up here, but I really recommend a TV thing. But one thing that kind of threw me off was that when I first started watching Shadowhunters, they use technology a lot, which they don't do in the books. And I was a bit like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird. I've gotten so used to this TV series now that when in Lady Midnight, they use technology with photos and trying to learn how to take photos with a mobile phone and expand them, make them bigger, obviously with a touchscreen, and they don't know how to do it. That threw me off because I was so used to them using technology in the show. So there are differences and such, but I absolutely love the Shadowhunter series. I thought they're absolutely fantastic. All 3 series are available on Netflix, but as I said, the 3rd series will become available on Blu-ray here in the UK in May. Okay, so those are my thoughts on Lady Midnight. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comments box below. I'll give you a thumbs up, thumb down, entirely... Oh, the small side. Just realised I was doing that. Thumbs down, entirely up to you, I'll let you decide. And I'm going to start reading All the Bright Places by Jennifer Nevin right now, while this storm is happening outside. We'll see how far I get through, and I'll be back with my thoughts on that book as soon as I'm done. All right, guys, bye.